Okay, welcome everyone. Um, I'm sitting here and I thought about me commentating the world record run for the Divinity 2 Dragonite Saga speedrun I achieved like 1.5 years ago, but I never got to commentating it since I was quite busy. Mm, but I wanted to make this sort of a guide how to speedrun this game, since I still have the hope that maybe someday somebody will come and pick this game up, maybe invent some new strats, because I really like it, and whenever I have some spare time, I run it. So let's get right into it. I will have some more time to explain later on in the run. We start off the run in Farglow. We are a Dragon Slayer originally, and finishing now our training with Morgana. The timing of this game starts after the character creation, so right about when this video started. To progress here, we just roll to the left or the right, whatever you prefer, to save some time in movement. Talk to Morgana in a second, get the melee weapons, since it gives us the best stats for the early game, and we need the weapon, which is quite useful.
I really like the graphics card.
And we just continue.
No, there shouldn't be any legs anymore.
About this run, as I said, I achieved this like a year ago, 1.5 years ago on stream. You can see the time on the left with my splits that I personally like to use, but feel free to use your own. I sadly, since it was on stream, didn't have two separate audio lines for the game sound and my microphone. That's why I will try to quiet down the video while I'm doing my talking, so you're not interrupted by my voice being heard twice, sounding a bit different. In general, my live commentary can be also found on the VOD on my Twitch stream, and I will link the run without commentary in this video's description. If you've ever run this game, Farglow is the most boring area. You basically just start off there, roll, hand in the quest, and continue. But after Farglow, it will start to get a bit interesting. You can see I lost 2 seconds there, but that's really irrelevant, since the run is around 2 hours long. Anyway, so 2 seconds in the early game don't really matter, at least not as the run is optimized currently. So after Farglow, you can see we are traveling to Broken Valley, and then we find ourselves in the first area of Broken Valley, which is sort of the village area. And now our first quest is to finish the looking for the dragon quest, talk to Road, and then we continue to the further parts of Broken Valley and continue with the main quests. That's why we talk to the soldier there, because she has info about the dragon. We then talk to the priest here, Roman, and buy his potions. We can afford exactly 5 of them, which should be enough for the early stages of the game. Optionally, you can also talk to the left guy sitting in front of the inn, because he has also intel about the dragon. You have to talk about 2-3 people, and then you can skip this guy, or you can skip the priest, because you walk past him later on anyway, which might be a potential time save, but as it stands, this were the strats 1.5 years ago, and that's how I achieved the run. As I said, a couple of seconds in the early game don't really matter most of the time. Yeah, so we now handed in the quest with Road. We took the gold and the experience, since she didn't have a very good weapon. We do some inventory management, put our points into HP. We need this extra HP we regenerate in the short period before the Arbin fight to survive it easily. Just as a precaution, I put the potions in my hotbar in case we run low on HP, to not have to reset the run. If we get good weapons, we don't need all 5 potions. we can come by with less than that. As you can see now, we entered the church. Also, everything's pretty straightforward. We talked to Arben. And in this case, I totally did not use the strat. There's a strat where you can hide behind the pillar, which makes the ranged skeleton shoot at you and hit the pillar, so you don't have to use any potions. But this is a bit faster, but you have to use one potion to survive it. To rapidly open the door like I just did there, you have to spam your open button. For me it's E, and the door will lift very quickly but close right behind you, so you have to be a bit careful because you can lose some seconds if you don't make it through the door before it closes. We talked to Road, as you saw, took gold and XP. That's important because now we go to the Blacksmith, Dirk, and then we try to reset for a plus 40 weapon. We might read him to give his lower prices, so we can potentially pick up 2 weapons if he has them on sale, which is always very useful for us. As you can see, there's a plus 40 physical damage weapon, and I think that should be it for this run. I just buy a second one just to take advantage of dual wielding. I'm not really sure if that was actually worth it. But yeah, whatever. This is, as it currently stands, the world record. But obviously there's room to for optimization. So as you saw right there, I did some inventory management, put the points into dual wielding and our rush attack, or I will call it dash attack from now on. And we can skip the dash attack cooldown by switching armor sets, weapon sets while in the animation. This is really cool to do. You will see it right here. Look, it didn't go on cooldown because I switched armor sets and then jumped over them. This saves a couple of seconds in the run, and it makes surviving in some cases a lot easier, since you can dash through a large group of enemies much easier. Now we can go to the further part of Broken Valley. Previously, before we handed in the quest with Road, we weren't able to progress here since our Slayer comrades, Marius, Jean, and Gunther, were blocking the way. But we can do that, and now we have this little interaction with one of the last Dragon Knight in existence, called Zelana. She has been fatally wounded by Road and our Slayer comrades, and now landed here as a dragon, turned into her human form, and now gives us her Dragon Knight powers to have some successor to her. And since our ritual we had started with Morgana and with Road, I don't know if you remember, but if you played this game casually, you would have seen it. When we handed in our quest with Road, we got this interaction where we saw some flashes before our eyes. This was due to our ritual to become a proper Dragon Slayer that was started by Morgana was not yet complete. Since we are very young Dragon Knight, our Dragon Slayer, our mind was still open to the magic of dragons, and Talana turned us into a Dragon Knight, which is definitely not what Road and her comrades wanted. And her comrades are originally also my friends, although there's not a big backstory of them. We had this little flying dragon cutscene, which is really not much to talk about. It's basically an auto-scroller. You just fly to the end. There's not really a time save there to be had. It's nice to kill some of the flying dragon commanders and stuff to get some more XP points, but it doesn't really matter, since how experience in this game works is the lower level you are while fighting an enemy, your experience gained depends on the level difference. So if you are level 20 and kill level 1 enemy, you will get 1 XP point, but if you are level 1 and kill level 20 enemy, you probably get tens of thousands of experience points, which level you up instantly. Therefore, it doesn't really matter if we get a lot of XP right now. There's only one scene, like one fight later on in a couple of minutes, where it kind of matters, but also the ranges for experience by that point are so big that it does not really matter. But just fly through it. If you have fireball on cooldown, kill them. Fair enough. So, after becoming the dragon, we had this little interaction with Damien, our main villain of this video game. He tries for world domination and wants to kill everyone. His ulterior motives are the love to Igerna. She is a dark, I think, wizard, sorceress, who is of the organization of the Black Ring. And Damien is the son of the Divine, who you know from Divinity, who is sort of our main hero of the earlier series. He is a man, they basically became a god, and his son Damien turned to the dark side. The idea in this game is that I will stop it right there and continue once we have some more time. I will first explain about Lovis. So we are in Broken Valley. This place was ruled earlier by Dragon Knights. One of them was Lovis, who had his tower built here. He got sealed away in here by Amducias, who he really dislikes. And Amducias is in Maxos Temple, where we have to go to anyway. So to enter Maxos Temple, we best ask somebody who has been there while Maxos Temple was open, and that would be Lovis. And since he got sealed away, he cannot die, although he wants to. So he gives us the knowledge to access Maxos Temple. So with that knowledge, we leave his tower, but before leaving, we grab one very, very crucial item to the run. You could see it when I left. The second chest on the left wall contained a Blood Echelon sword, which always has a plus 65 physical damage enchantment on it, which is really, really strong, although we can only use it once we reach level 14, but that is plenty of time. The Blood Echelon sword is so strong that you can definitely use it as a main weapon for the entire Ego Draconis part, and even in the Flames of Vengeance part, it is not completely obsolete in every run. Obviously, once you go for better, if you want to go for better times, it might help to get better weapons. So we reach Maxos Temple. As you could see in my inventory, I just unequipped my second weapon, which was probably not worth to get in the first place. And we fight our old comrades, focusing Jean first, since he has a spell that reduces our damage. And that Gunther can heal, but if we have this much damage, we can just kill Jean before he curses us. And Gunther doesn't have enough healing left to heal him. Then after that we kill Gunther, otherwise he would heal Marius, because Marius is a bit stronger than both of them. And if you have a very strong damage like I do with a plus 40 weapon, you should be able to not use any potions and just face tank them. Then we go to Maxos Temple, press to earn on the right, quite easy, straightforward, and find ourselves in this room. Here we solve some 3 riddles to kind of satisfy our claim to be a Dragon Knight. This area was originally used to train Dragon Knights when they were still being trained. The lore here goes somewhere like the Dragon Knights were the good guys, Damien took over, the dragons fell from grace, so to say, and they introduced dragon slayers to kill all the dragons. And now we were originally part of the Slayer organization. This Dragon Knight organization has laid dormant for years. But now we come back here, led by Talana, who tells us in our head sort of where to go. There's a nice plot twist here with that entire thing. If you've played this game before, you will know, but I will keep it for a bit later. Yeah, as you could see, the 2 riddles are quite easy. In the first room, you just grabbed the pumpkins to show that you are not interested in material wealth, although the entire room is full of gold. If you grab any of that, you fail the quest. And try again. In the second room, you have to find the difference in the both mirrored halves of the room, and in this room, you just have to prove that you are able to navigate your character, which is quite nice. If you play this game for the first time, maybe if you're younger, it's quite nice to get to know the movement a bit better. But obviously here it's more of a duty to just do it quickly. After finishing the 3 quests, we get teleported here. This is sort of the labyrinth. Normally, if you enter one of these rooms, it will spawn 4 enemies you have to fight, which loses some time. Obviously, you don't want to do that, and by sticking to the left wall, as you could see me do right there a couple of seconds ago, you can skip this fight trigger. For this room, you have to be careful when walking out to not trigger it, since it's still active. Since you have to cross this room and the door to the left is locked, you have to fight these enemies. If we have such strong weapons like I do, it really doesn't matter who you focus, since none of them can heal, and the chance of killing the mage before he curses you is very low, since he will always run away and there are too many enemies that will stagger you and block your path. So it doesn't really matter who you kill, it doesn't lose much time anyhow. This room we stick to the wall again like we did in the first room to avoid triggering the cutscene. Press the next button, pull the lever, and then we are good to go. We have the labyrinth. So that's quite nice. Now we follow the path. Now the cutscene is the trigger is deactivated, so we can just freely run out. Then we jump down here, talk to the pedestal, like I almost forgot in there. And then we have to fight a few of Damien's guys. In this run I have a plus 40 physical damage weapon, which is pretty much the best you can have in the early game. Probably the best for time in general. You can have plus 40 magical damage as well, which is similarly fast in this fight. But later on you lose some time, since your damage is scaling with your strength modifier as well. And your magical damage is not affected by that. Therefore, having a physical damage weapon tends to be better later on. They have a really annoying cutscene, which you cannot skip. These in-game cutscenes are always unskippable, while the video cutscenes are skippable. This is an unskippable one. They talk about what they want to do in the library, looking for a book. Obviously, we have to look for that book as well. They notice us. They are like, "Oh no, Damien won't be pleased." The other guy is like, "Oh, let's take his eyes. Let's take his body parts." The fight is can be quite difficult with worse weapons. And the best strat here is to focus Yalkan, since he's by far the strongest, and he uses Battle Rage and Whirlwind. If he uses Battle Rage and Whirlwind on you, you can easily get one shot. So you don't want to do that. With the quest rewards and the XP we had, you could see that we leveled up in the middle of the fight after killing the first 2 or 3 enemies. This is really helpful to preserve potions. As you can see, we still have 4 of them left. First one we only used in the fight against Arben. And yeah, that makes the fight quite easy, but you really have to focus Yalkan, otherwise you will just be slaughtered to death. Yeah, we continue here. This is all part of the main quest. We pick up the flask, the key, and open this chest, which contains the book that the Black Ring guys were looking for, Yalkan, etc. So we go back to the library, talk to the librarian. He then allows us to open the door to Amducias' bridge. I'm not 100% sure on the lore aspect of this area. I think it got sealed away since there were no Dragon Knight trainings happening anymore, and Maxos turned Amducias into a dragon to punish him. And therefore all the monks living there died of starvation, and now exist there as ghosts and want to see Amducias defeated so they can potentially find rest as well. So here we fight Amducias. In a casual playthrough, when you play this game for the first time, this fight can be very challenging. But obviously this is the easiest difficulty, and we have a plus 40 weapon, which is completely overpowered for the state of the game. Therefore we make quick work of him, grab all this loot, He potentially sometimes has some decent stuff, but you don't have to be too mindful of that. You don't have to equip it right away, especially if you have a run like this where you have plus 40 damage. Anyway, I put my point into HP, put on the armor, which was actually insanely good for the state of the game. So I got very, very lucky there. This will help us in the progression, especially on Sentinel Island, because we will be able to sustain much more damage and therefore be able to dish out much more damage per second, since we don't have to defend ourselves by running away and healing as much. So this is really important. This was quite lucky. So at this point, I already knew this was a good run. Also, if you look at the time splits on the left, you see the gold splits, etc. This is the case because when I achieved my old run 3-4 years ago, I lost my splits from that time. So when I picked up the game again, all my splits were new from my sessions of then running this game. So this was probably my 3rd, 4th or 5th complete run that I did. At some point you obviously know when your items and gear and time allow you to even reach a world record, and if that wasn't the case, I would just reset the run. Therefore a lot of splits are not as good as they have been previously. I obviously achieved better splits for a lot of these areas in runs before, but this is the world record run, so this is a good indicator for how fast you can or should go. So after having a quick interaction with Damien, we can now teleport to Sentinel Island. We talk to the island lady, remind her. She always gives you enough XP to level you up once, so it's always worth to do that. You don't really lose anything from it, and it just makes you stronger. So we don't really need to be much stronger, since we really have a overpowered build. We are incredibly tanky and dish out a lot of damage. Plus 40 weapon, if you want to achieve world record run, saves you so much time on Sentinel Island that you basically have to get it. A plus 30 is also possible, and a plus 20 you can also run the game with the same strats, but every fight just takes longer and you have to pick up more potions and just be a lot more mindful with when you fight enemies on Sentinel Island here. As you can see here, we make such quick work of all the enemies that it doesn't really matter if we do them in the first or the second go. I expect you have played the game, but as you then know, you have to escort Sasan across the island, and she will pick fights with everything on the way that is in her aggression distance. The problem is with that sometimes she will run off and she's really slow at killing enemies, so you have to always then follow her, kill the enemies, and then have her run back to the main path. That's why we kill certain enemies on the way when we pass it first time, to just save some time later on in the escort mission. Although when we do the escort mission, we are technically a bit stronger, so we would make quicker work of them and potentially save some time there, but overall it's probably more worth to kill them on the way. And the selection of what enemies you kill when is up to you and up to your build and up to the time you want to save. It's really hard to measure the best strategies, and for me I figured the way I do it right now, with not killing the groups of a captain or an epic with 2 other, maybe a summoner in the wild, to kill them later on when Sasan is with me, since they are located on the main path. The way I do it here is to set up in a way that I will reach a level up before going towards the barrier, because you have to kill the enemies in front of the barrier. Otherwise there is a small bug in the game where Sasan will fight the enemies, and instead of then just continuing to the barrier and triggering the cutscene, she will slowly walk back to the beginning, and like the entrance area of the barrier kind of area, like the entrance where the pillars are. She will just walk back there and then run again towards the barrier, which just loses like 20 seconds, and it's just super annoying and buggy, since she technically already made it to where she has to go, but then walks back. So that's why you have to kill them to save some time, which you will see right in a few moments, and therefore the experience points I take from the rewards and the enemies I kill line me up that I will reach a level up during or right before the fight, and don't have to use potions for that. In this quest reward, you just saw me pick 2 rejuvenation potions. This is useful since any HP we get through potions allows us to just face tank during fights, which obviously then makes the fight much faster. And as quest rewards have it, the experience gained from it doesn't really matter to us. If you can see, we get 927 XP from killing these dragon elves, while the quest reward would be 1000 XP. So yeah, now we are jumping towards the barrier area, and now we kill all of them. As you can see, we are just right before a level up. Therefore, we don't have to use any potions or be careful in this fight, which can be quite bad, since there's a magician that can heal, and a summoner that can summon, and an epic that can use fear and the magic stagger attack. I forgot what its name is, but that can be really annoying if you get stuck in a situation and cannot move for a bit of time. Yeah, it's only 600 XP, so it's not even worth 1 dragon elf as a quest reward. So after talking to the pillar and getting another quest reward, we make our way to the beach shrine again, which we activated in the beginning. We kill the dragon elves here. The thread I used there was not quite correct. Like, you want to use the kill the magician before the wild, otherwise you run into the problem that the magician will heal it. But with our damage, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, we made quick work of them. We then used the spell we got from the book, where we had to kill the 3 dragon elves, and then activate all the candles. After we activate them, we can start running towards the shrine again. We are very lucky to get very good healing potions here. Sasan gives us the passphrase for the vault where her ring lies, which is needed to resurrect her. We teleport there. We activated this earlier, which is crucial to save some time. And then we still have very overpowered damage. I put my points in here, and now I will put my skills as well, since the coming up fight is quite difficult. So we strategically place our points into dual wielding, since it increases our damage massively. How it works in this game is, if you don't have points into dual wielding, your main weapon does a bit less damage than it would normally do, and your offhand weapon only does around 10% of what it should do. When we put points into it, the penalty for using it on the second weapon decreases, so the second weapon deals a lot more damage, which we obviously don't make use of right here, since we only use 1 weapon, but that is completely fine. It's a plus 40, we make very quick work of them. You could also see that we placed points into mana leech, which is very useful, so we will never run out of mana in a fight again. So it's very OP for 1 point. We put 1 point into life leech, it just helps survivability in general, and later on we put some more points into there and you can really see its effect. And bleed is also just a very good value for putting 1 point into it. It just deals a good damage for 1 point at this state of the game. So we end in the quest with Sasan. Probably should have taken the gold. Actually, the experience points are really useless, and we don't need the level up to happen quickly, but it's also fine. We now then have to escort her. This is incredibly annoying,
And now we got
since
escort quest.
yeah, her running speed is lower than our running
We will
speed,
get
so we
far
can't
away
really have
from
to stay
her, she
behind
will
her.
just
If you
stop
run too
running
far away from
because
her,
we're annoying.
she will just
Therefore,
stand
we
still
don't stay close.
and wait for you to
Unless
come
pull
back.
out the sword,
So
then she is aggroed onto
this
the
is
enemy
just a
and
very,
you
very
can
slow
go
running
wherever you want,
simulator.
she will still fight.
You also saw that I
There's one group of
equip the second blade
yeah.
to make take advantage of dual wielding, which is also very useful. I didn't quite see how good it was, but it's probably decent. On the left you can see that I forgot to split for reviving Sassan. This happens quite frequently in this game since there's no auto splitter, so you manually have to press split every time you want to split, and sometimes you just forget. But you will see in a second that I will just skip this split and continue onwards with the normal game, and this obviously has no effect on the time in general. So we see this mallet, which is incredibly strong. It has a plus 30 magic damage enchantment. The enchantments are not penalized for being in the offhand, so this is incredibly good, especially that it's magic damage. So no matter what kind of resistances the enemy will have, we have physical and magic damage. And this, we will only use this mallet for a very, very short period of time, pretty much until we reach level 14, at which point we will then use the Blood Echelon sword. So these were the groups of Dragon Elves I was talking about earlier. You can kill them on your first pass, but really there's no point. And now we are much stronger than I was in the first time, so we kill them now. Here I did a bit of a mistake. So how Sassan's AI functions: as soon as she takes out her sword, she is set to fight, and no matter where you go, she will run towards the enemy she saw. Therefore, she takes out her sword, and then I can dash at the enemies. A bit of a more refined strategy is to have her aggro one of the Dragon Elves, then dash towards another one, and then start killing the two other Dragon Elves that she has not aggroed yet, and at last kill the one she has aggroed, because you will not run into the problem I did, where I killed it too quickly and the other ones were out of her aggression range, and therefore she would just keep standing, so I had to go back and pick her up. But this is really not a big problem. It's lost a couple of seconds, but yeah, that's just what it is. So we have reached the barrier. Sasa now talks to her. I think she was working in the battle tower before Lycan took over, and he probably had a crush on her. Therefore, and she didn't, so he killed her, put her body parts together, and then had meet puzzle Sassan. We have already met on the way to Sentinel Island in the labyrinth to Maxos, to Sentinel Island. The labyrinth. In the labyrinth in the Maxos temple. So what Lycan does here is he breaks the barrier because he's so angry. Then conveniently has already placed a whole bunch of low-level bandits on this path here. In an older strategy, you would try to reach level 14 before fighting gabet. And to do so, you would then have to kill all the bandits on this path, which are quite easy to do, but obviously loses a lot of time. But in this strategy, since we have really good weapons, we can just run up here and then face tank everyone to kill gabet. There's a nicer strategy here to use, where you can use the target lock function to focus on gabet, but I didn't notice at the time, so I didn't. Which really didn't matter in this scenario, since I did so much damage that there was no problem, and he did not get healed, I did not get staggered or something. So once you kill him, you can enter the battle tower, meet Puzzle Sassan, then has a little speech, summons some more of her cutthroats. They are completely useless. We just run past them and then try to press this button right before she triggers her rockfall to skip that animation, which is a bit hard to do since the movement has to be quite precise. We then grab one of the explosives, go back and bomb our way through. We are, in this run, obviously incredibly overpowered. Even at this point, we already We are only level 13 and a half, so it will be a couple more fights until we reach level 14 actually and can use the Blood Echelon Sword, which makes us much stronger than we are right now even. Normally, if you don't have as good damage, you try to get more experience points from quests to reach level 14 a bit sooner, and therefore have the Blood Echelon Sword ready for the fight against Sasan and Razakel. But even in this run, I think we might have it ready at that point, or we will just about have it. So Sasan comes with us. We go to the elevator. The order here is to go down to kill the first Abomination Master, get his key,
Going down once.
which we need to access the floor with the goblin in who knows Razakel, or who knows where the book with Razakel's name is in. Since the lore here goes that Lycan has made a soul pact with a demon called Razakel, and therefore Lycan cannot die unless the demon dies, and demons are undying in this game. Oh, actually, I didn't even know this, but I kill the abominations in here, which is not necessary except for the master. And I did this because I wanted to reach level 14 for the Razakel Sasan fight, which makes the Razakel Sasan fight much faster. I'm not 100% sure if this was actually worth it, but either way, it did not lose much time, if any. It might have also saved time, I don't know. So here we get stuck in the door, which is annoying. Loses a second or so, also useless. Earl King, we have to mind read since his tongue got cut out, since he knows the name of Razakel. And Lycan obviously does not want anyone to know the name, because if you know the name, you can summon the demon, and then you can kill the demon, although he would not die of old age. So, conveniently, if we go up one more layer from here, we can find a summoning circle, a convenient place to summon Razakel. Obviously, would put this at the entrance of your fortress, so to say, so nobody could ever, if he finds out the name, just on the way to you, summon your demon and kill you. So we put on our Blood Echelon Sword now and put our points into strength. The reason I did this is because I have two physical damage enchanted weapons, and I have such good armor that I can just with the damage alone kill everything instantly and don't have to worry about putting points into vitality to survive longer. And strength will just increase my damage, and that's all I'm looking for in this speedrun, since it's a speedrun and you want to kill everything as fast as possible. So we killed Miss Meat Puzzle Sasan. Now we can summon Razakel. He instantly curses us. This is quite unlucky. He doesn't do this all the time. This just reduces our damage. If he does it later, or not at all, like not at all, this is unlikely, he never does that, but if he does it as late as possible, you save some time here. Before you can kill him, he runs off. There's actually, if you play this game casually and kind of abuse the enchantments as well, you can reach such a high level in fatality that you could technically even kill him, since you do such high burst damage, but even if he goes to 0 HP, he will still run off. So for now, there's no way to actually kill him instantly, which would probably also break the game. So we go up the elevator to the throne room, which looks very epic, I must say. Obviously filled with some corpses, Lycan likes it that way. He's a necromancer. Normally this tower would be owned by a dragon knight, which obviously is at the moment not the case, but we will take it back. So yeah, he sits there. Razakel is conveniently placed there as well. I have no idea why you would let the Razakel fight in here as well. You would try to split him up, but whatever. So this fight ends as soon as you kill Lycan or Razakel, and you also don't have to worry about using potions or anything, since Sasan will always heal you in this fight, which makes it incredibly easy.
Okay.
After the fight, we get this really nice cutscene, also unskippable since it's in-game, of Damien and Zandalor. Damien obviously being the evil guy, trying for world domination. Zandalor being the good mage that tries to help us progress. Yeah, they talk about how Damien now is really angry that his subordinate Lycan was slain, and now Zandalor and I have control of the Dragon Tower again, which is very crucial for us to progress as a Dragon Knight, since it holds the Dragon Stone, which we can then use to transform ourselves into a dragon. So what Damien then does out of rage is he destroys the entirety of Broken Valley, putting it into a big fog of poisonous air, which kills everyone that was left in there. The cutscene shows the cruelties, the war crimes he committed against the people of Broken Valley. And he also launches a small attack on this Dragon Tower with a small armada, where we can test out our newly gained dragon abilities. So Zandalor now tells us, become the dragon, show him your might. And we will do that. So by leaving the throne room, we can then grab our nicely placed Dragonstone here, which triggers a cutscene, which we obviously instantly skip. And then we fight some ballistas and nest towers. To this fight, I'm not 100% sure if there's a strategy to do it faster, because I don't know when it is scheduled to end. How I like to do it is just fly around and kill as many ballista as possible, as quick as possible, to get the maximum XP. There's probably a way, but it's really difficult to kill everything that is in here. So it ends obviously before you kill everything. So therefore, I don't know if there are certain ballista or the nest towers you have to kill early to end the fight quicker. But I've tested killing only the nest towers, and that doesn't end the battle instantly. So therefore, I just fly around, kill everything as quickly as possible, making use of the right-click dash function to move quicker and basically keep fire breath pressed to make quick work of everything. I fly around all the ballista to reduce the damage taken, and as you can see, there was one ballista left, and some of the flying dragon commanders I didn't kill, but this also really doesn't matter since the experience points scale with the level. So when I don't reach level up here, I get more experience for the next enemies I kill, and therefore it will be equal soon enough. So since Broken Valley is destroyed, our personal chambers hold a waypoint shrine, which is our only way to travel from this battle tower to anywhere. And we just get the explanation of that. In some strategies, so first of all, it's important to pick up the scroll here, which is part of the main quest. I checked the jewelry there because I don't wear any, and therefore it's probably good. And then I trade with Sasan and buy all her potions. This allows us to just face tank more enemies. I also mind return, which gives us an additional skill point, which will be very useful later on. So we then teleport to the Grand Knight Shrine, which is in the Aurobus fjords, and then we continue to turn into a dragon.
So that's good as well.
Okay, now that we are back, not back, but now that we're in the Aurobus fjords and can turn into a dragon, we make our way behind this waterfall to continue with the main quest. There are some enemies here. They're quite weak, so we don't really mind them. So we continue our way down, just skipping the enemies since we have to make our way past them once we exit this cave, and we can use them as a nice
place to dash to just save some time. We make our way down here, getting staggered a bit, which is annoying, but that's fine. And find ourselves with these enemies, which we will kill now. And they are quite annoying. We are also cursed, as you can see in the top right. This reduces our damage significantly, so that's quite annoying. We accept the statue quest. I will call it the tree quest, since basically we have to talk to 3 trees and do some quests for them. This then allows us to walk past these statues and reach the Patriarch, which is needed for the main quest. We also have a lot of skill points left, which we then use to level up crucial spells. Regenerate is super important since it just helps you keep up on health and reduces the amount of potions you need. Healing is used for the same thing. In combat it can be quite useful, especially since we use mana leech a lot and therefore never run out of mana. This is basically free healing. We will put another point into that, I think, later on in this run. And then 1000 strikes is incredible value for 1 point, and basically our main damage spell against bosses, since it just does an incredible amount of damage. And also for the duration stuns the enemy, which is very important for bosses, since then they can't stun you or fear you or do anything towards you. And you profit off of life and mana leech to end up ideally on more HP and mana than you had before you started using it. So this is now the first tree quest. Carefully landed on top of his tree hut to pick up his the Zeppelin part, which is needed to reach Alaroth later on. We also don't take the experience points, it doesn't matter. It's 750 XP if I saw correctly, and killing a single enemy always gives at least double that.
What the fuck?
After landing, you saw we basically almost died. This can happen if you transform to a human at the wrong time and get hit by one of the ballista shots. They will then deal an insane amount of damage, since your HP is much lower in human form than it is in dragon form. So we make our way up here, and since our damage is incredibly good, we basically make quick work of them, using only one of the potions we still had from the beginning of the game left to kind of top up our HP. And quick reminder, we bought potions of Sasan, so therefore we are very stocked up on potions and don't really have to worry at this point in time. In this small area, it has a no-fly zone around it, so we can't reach it as a dragon, only using this teleporter, which you obviously saw we took. We take the teleporter back. It takes longer to deactivate the no-fly zone than to just take the teleporter back. We only then have to pull one lever to remove the barrier, and then can fly to the next tree, which we have reached already. And in this quest you have to kill 3 wyvern killers. They can be quite tricky to pinpoint, since they try to run away, and also Aurobus fjords is filled with wyvern sprinters, which you cannot really distinguish unless you look at the name tag. And as you can see here, I sort of lost some of them, and now, as you can see, I gained experience points and I killed all of the wyvern killers. This could have been a bit quicker if they wouldn't have flown that far away, but this is still a decent job. We then fly to these wyvern nests to pick up 2 more Zeppelin parts. We need 3 of them in total to allow the Zeppelin to fly towards Alaroth, and we need the 3 different parts for it as well. So we fly past the harbor, which we then later need to go to Alaroth, and can then also activate the waypoint shrine for the Red Hammer tribe here. This helps us later on to fast travel directly to here and not have to fly through the entire Aurobus fjords after we killed Baal. and this just saves a couple of seconds as well. We go to the third tree, select the fourth options. You can also just spam 1 in this dialog, because the answer to the second riddle is 1, the first option, and therefore you can then just spam your way through, but the time difference is really not important, and you lose some HP if you answer the first question wrong. As you can see, we flew on top of the harbor no-fly zone to drop down on top of the harbor. You have to be careful to not land right in the teleporter, or not careful, but just be mindful that you don't want to land in the teleporter, because that just loses so much time and it's incredibly annoying. So we make our way to Alaroth. Luckily the game didn't crash. Sometimes it does that here, but this wasn't the case, and now we reach one of the most crucial parts of the entire speedrun, which is also the part where I lost the 2-hour barrier. You will see that in a couple of minutes. So we reach, in a couple of minutes we will reach the Academy of Alaroth, the Ministry of Alaroth. In this ministry there are 3 portals, and Zandalor is there with Deodatus to help close these portals. He will open them. The first 2 portals have to stay open for 1 minute, for 15 seconds or so, basically for 1 wave of enemies. And after that, the second portal is the same way, and the third portal has to be open for 1 minute. So whenever Zandalor gets hit, he doesn't move or doesn't defend himself, the timer resets, which is incredibly annoying and makes you lose a lot of time. This wouldn't be a problem if you could just basically pull the aggro of the enemies, kill them slowly however you want, but they have a mind of their own and try to just run past you no matter how hard it is. Even if you basically kill them while they run past you, they will still try to hit Zandalor. So I came up with a strategy for the smaller portals after I lost a lot of runs to these 2, because the first wave is very, very difficult to defend, since they will both instantly only aggro Zandalor and run past you no matter what you do, and you can only kill one of them because you don't have any skills that stagger enemies. Normally in a warrior build you would use something like Whirlwind, or in a mage build you would use Fireballs or something like that to just keep them at bay for just a few seconds, but we don't have this in our build here. So I figured out that we can use a bow, which in this run I forgot, which is what led to me losing a lot of time here. Normally there's a strategy where I will buy a bow off of the vendor, which I just used to reset for another plus 65 weapon. Look at me looking at the skills and stuff and realizing I lost my bow, or I didn't get a bow. Normally you would put 1 point into stun arrows, which then allows you to use your bow in your second armor set, stun one of the enemies, use your dash attack at that second enemy that's still able to walk right after the stun arrow had connected, use 1000 strikes to one-shot that guy, and the time it takes for the other guy to come out of his stun is enough for Zandalor to fully close the portal. And this is very, very consistent. It's quite difficult to execute correctly, since the timing between shooting the stun arrow and then turning into your melee form is quite difficult. And I forgot to buy the bow here, which is incredibly stupid and my fault, so I didn't get first cycle on this portal. And not in second cycle, as you can see, he just got hit there. Time has to be in the 6 seconds, then he can get hit and the portal will still close. So I have to be really close. And as you can see in the time on the splits, he got hit again. The time goes slowly up and slowly, less and less time saved from my previous best run.
Just
and by this point, I'm really sad. Like this run, I live streamed normally when I was doing attempts. I would record them, since the quality in general would be a bit better, and I could put different audio lines.
That's good.
So he got now hit in the 7 seconds. I'm not 100% sure. This might just be very, very close to... Yeah, and he closed the rift. Yeah, this was very, very close and quite lucky. There is actually...
Normally
I achieved this only once in my... and I practiced this section probably
one of them, then
50 times
the second one,
just to get it consistently
clear
with the
every
stun arrows.
portal instantly.
There was one run I had where
But that's by
Zandalor
a bow.
on the first portal got hit
That's bad.
in the, like, right at the
That's just
8 second, 7.9 second barrier,
and this is the old strategy
where he
just
tried to open the
go
portal
for
again,
the best.
but realizes that the portal has been closed. And therefore, he instantly also closed the second portal, and I was able to then teleport to the Dragon Tower, and he was walking downstairs to go to open the third portal, which was incredible. But there was no way I could ever reproduce it so far, and I also haven't tried since tried too much, since the few times I did seemed very, very futile, and it's also very annoying to time them perfectly, since, as you can see here, the first wave after he opens the portal again, you can see now 15 seconds, will either stand there and then completely just run towards you, no matter what you do there, no matter where you position yourself. There's no way to completely block access to Zandalor. And as you can see here, I sadly don't have quite enough damage to one-shot them with 2 strikes while they run past me. And this is an incredible amount of time loss, but also, if you ever want to pick up this game, you see where I lost time, and I will upload another speedrun of this game using the developer's cut version, where I show off the strategy in some time. Also, my older runs, I'm not quite sure if they have the
I would really like a
strategy implemented already. Okay, so now we had a chance, but we missed it again. The one guy was standing, the other guy was running, so we were able to, would have been able to kill one of them, but he survived by a sliver of health, and therefore we then had to start again.
And
but as you saw that right there, we used our dash attack, which knocked back the enemy that was running towards Zandalor. The other one was already dead, and therefore we won. So it only takes a stagger or a stun or anything to basically win this fight. And as you can see, we lost 2 minutes roughly only in this fight. So after this, the U button sort of is unlocked, so we can fast travel to our battle tower instantly and equip our necromancer with our new creature, which is very useful for the third portal because he pulls aggro, and we have a melee pad, so he tends to block the path of them, which just makes it easier for us to win the fight. We go to our trainer and level up some crucial spells we need for later in the game. Dual wielding is very important. Fatality is also very important. Life drain is not as important. You can also win the run without using life drain, putting a lot of points in life drain, which just then means that you have to use a bit more potions, which is also completely fine. I don't even know how many points I will put into life drain, but fatality is super important for bosses, especially if you're low damage. It just makes it much faster. Dual wielding is important since it increases your damage, and then battle rage will be used in the Flames of Vengeance part, since we will get a lot of skill points there to finish the final boss fights much quicker than we normally would. Battle rage gives us a large penalty to our physical, to our melee resistance, but gives us a huge increase in power, increasing our damage to up to 100%. I think at level 10 it's like 100 or 80% more damage. So it basically almost doubles your damage. And then if we have very strongly enchanted
weapons, that obviously scales with both of them. So we in the offhand we have
Okay, but
plus 100, and in the main hand we ideally also have plus 100. And then we scale that again, which just leads to us having basically an exponential damage growth, which is incredibly good. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
We talked to Zandalor after we finished the quest, and he has a helmet. As you could see, that's really good for us since we really have no helmet on our head, which we now have, and that increases our tankiness by a lot. After the ministry, we took the shrine back to the Aurobus fjords, where we've been beginning, make our way down to the back of the waterfall again, and probably skip all these enemies again. We could instantly kill all of them, but they really don't give us as much XP, and the time gain, we don't save time obviously in killing them. Therefore we just run past them, and yeah. We will reach the Patriarch pretty soon, which is also very useful. I sometime figured out that after you trigger the Patriarch cutscene and Damien arrives, you can, as soon as he leaves, teleport to your battle tower, which is probably an oversight in the game, because at this point, no matter where you are in this cave, the first or the second part of the cave, you cannot use your teleport to the battle tower, no matter what for. But as soon as the Damien scene is triggered and has ended, you can. In some of the earlier runs by Parfi from like 7-8 years ago, which I used originally when I figured out the routing of the game, which credits to him, he did. He, after the cutscene, ran past these enemies and exited the cave normally, to then turn into a dragon, fly up the hill, and go to the Broken Valley. But you can just teleport to the battle tower, run through your throne room, grab some potions with Sasan, which is very useful for the later parts of the game, and then use the shrine to teleport to the Grand Knight Shrine. I think overall it takes a similar amount of time, but the advantage of going to the throne room is you get to grab a lot more potions. Sasan always renews her inventory once you level up, and since we have been there the last time, obviously a lot of levels have passed. And therefore I figured this strat would be much easier and nicer and more consistent, especially for the longer parts of the game, the later parts of the game. Yeah, so we talked to the Patriarch, we might read him. I think he gives us 2 skill points, which is also very, very useful, especially if we want to later on put points into Battle Rage to increase our damage even further. Yeah. So this really, really long and annoying camera flight has ended, and we are now left to trigger the Damien cutscene. This idiot also, he's like, oh no, I will stop you, you cannot do this, you cannot defeat my plans, I'm the strongest, and then he just spawns in some fucking idiot's way, and I will just teleport away in front of them, instead of him just killing me instantly. But whatever, movie villain stuff, I guess. Yeah. So the next step is we instantly teleport to the throne room, grab potions from Sasan, go back to the Grand Knight Shrine, fly to the Broken Valley, which is very poisoned right now, and then grab the key to enter the mine, and can then reach Baal. In the house there are also some strategies. So yeah, a bit about the plot, I guess. Talana is in our head talking to us that we need to stop Igerna from being killed, but that has been in the past, so kind of time travel stuff, right? She has been killed in the past. In the Hall of Echoes there lies this dormant memory of her execution. If we go to the Hall of Echoes, we can then go back to that memory and stop Igerna from being killed, which will then in turn make her alive again in the real world. And the idea that Talana's telling us here is that Damien is too powerful, nobody can stop him, that's why he can just take over Broken Valley like that, right? He's too powerful and we cannot kill him, but if we let Igerna be alive, that will change the flow of time and therefore make Damien much weaker, to the point where we can then defeat Damien, or he would never be as powerful as he is right now, and therefore bring peace to the world again. This is all nice and good, but as it turns out, since our ritual to become a Dragon Slayer was incomplete, which led to us becoming a Dragon Knight, also somebody else was able to invite our mind, and that certain person was Igerna. So Zandalor, he also got fooled by that and tells us to do the same thing, but he has good intention there, and also Damien doesn't know that Igerna is talking to me and thinks it's Talana and really thinks that I try to bring him to his downfall, although I'm a pawn in this game, and my job is actually to help Damien here. Maybe he had this suspicion and that's why he didn't kill me. There's some like plot holes there, but who really knows what's going on there. So we make our way into Broken Valley, as you could see. We enter the mine building. There's the guild master on top, and now we can. So the quickest strategy here is to have him just be killed. But the problem is, it is very, very much RNG whether he gets focused and dies eventually. So to have like kind of our plan B is just to kill everyone and escort him safely down the stairs. But we obviously want him to die because it's actually faster if it works correctly. But yeah, as you can see here, he didn't die and we were able to kill all of the enemies. Sometimes, if you are really lucky, he will just basically die instantly and you can just leave. Now you have to wait for him to have his like talk and stuff, and then you can leave.
That's fine.
Since the door gets unlocked, and then you can fly up towards the small ledge here and enter this the mine, which houses Baal, a demon who holds one of the key pieces we need to enter the Hall of Echoes, obviously, which we think is what we want to do to save the world. You can see me using my skill points generously here. And Death Blow is not good. I don't know why I put points into Death Blow. Yeah, look at me fiddling with the inventory. I want Reflect because it's really good. I mean, Death Blow is also pretty good value for one skill point, but I probably didn't need it here. Dual wielding obviously is very important. Fatality is important, since we will be fighting very strong enemies. And this is one of the hardest areas in the entire speedrun. You can easily lose a lot of time or even lose the entire run here, because if you die, that's really annoying. So as you can see, me here have very, very pure execution by, first of all, targeting the wrong guy that got healed before we were able to finish him off. Then dashing towards the healer and instantly using 1000 strikes, but he got knocked back by our dash attack, which then made our 1000 strikes miss. The rangers are incredibly annoying since they use stun arrows, and we don't have any points into conditioned bodies, so we are stunned for like an eternity. Since we have high damage, we were still able to clear this area very quickly. And now we get to Amon, and Amon is one of the hardest fights in the game to do quickly. The easy strategy is to pull every enemy one by one, and the fast strategy is what I'm doing here. Target lock would be very, very useful to use here. In my current speedruns I do that, but I didn't notice at the time that this is possible. So we focus Amon. We have to be lucky that he doesn't get healed by the healer, and that we don't get stunned as much, which we do, but luckily we had killed him already because we have insane damage. As you can see, this is a big struggle. We almost die, but once you're in stun arrows or polymorph, whenever you cannot move, you cannot also use your hotbar to use potions. But you can still use potions, but only if you open your inventory and press them manually. So that's what we did right there. And while we're not stunned, we can just spam our potions in a hotbar and enter the fight with Baal. We mind read him. Well, not a skill point, very useful. And then we just go at it. So we try to kill the mage and the summoner first, the healer and the summoner first, since they are really annoying. The bodyguards really don't do that much. They are melee, and while we're dashing around, they have a hard time even keeping up with us. If we have high damage, it can kill all of that stuff. So here we got stuck a bit. As you could see, we just killed it. Now we make quick work of the next demon summoner, as you could see, and then just hack and slay all of them. We have a lot of points into life drain, decent armor, very high damage, so we can just face tank them using some potions. Not even too many. And yeah, now we're only left with Baal. The Baal fights is incredibly buggy. Like, if you hit him, you will fly up in the air, and sometimes you will just fly up in the air without even hitting him. Just takes forever. And he constantly uses Curse on me, which reduces my damage all the time. And then, yeah, look at this.
Yo.
What was that? Like, why?
The fuck?
And now we're stuck in the air being feared,
This
which is
area is also
actually quite decent since we don't have to run back to him. But yeah, so this fight went pretty well. Like, this fight is always considered going well if you don't have to run and hide constantly behind pillars to recover and use healing. Yeah, and therefore I'm quite happy with the outcome here. But this could also be faster if you use a better build. So here I am doing also a kind of outdated strategy. Actually, after you kill
And we need to go to
Baal, you can just teleport from inside his boss chamber and don't have to go outside to then teleport to the dragon tower. To the battle tower. So yeah, I will use that in more current runs, and that just saves a couple of seconds. Originally, yeah, also here, if you want, you can go to Sasan and pick up more potions before going to the final Hall of Echoes. But in this run I was confident, and I was thinking that because of the time loss in the Araroth, which basically lost me 2 minutes, that I would, if I were able to reach 2 hour barrier, I would be very close on time, and therefore took very high risk to and not grabbed any potions. So yeah, we made our way into the Hall of Echoes first part. Normally actually we just flew through the dragon like statue. There's a barrier and you would have to kill all of the enemies there. But I tried that once in a casual playthrough and it was like incredibly difficult. So I never tried it again, and I figured out that you can just fly right through it before the barrier spawns. I
can only agree, definitely.
guess the developers left that in because they figured nobody was able to finish that dragon fight. So they were like, yeah, just fly through it and be happy. Or maybe there's actually no way to even win the dragon fight without skipping it. But
So let's do
yeah,
this
that is something to be experienced in a casual playthrough if you really want to. And we make our way to the boss rush area after reading Charon. We try to mind read everyone who can, because they all give skill points, which are very useful to us. As you can see here, we make really quick work of them. Also, it would be very useful to use target lock here, which I obviously also didn't at the time, which
very well.
lost probably some seconds along the way. But we have insane damage and very high lifesteal, so we are able to face tank basically anyone, even though we only have these few potions. Yeah, so we made first quick work of our Slayer colleagues, and then meet Puzzle Sasa.
Yes, very good.
And yeah, this boss rush goes insanely well. So yeah, this is probably one of the best boss rushes I ever had while running this game. I'm not even 100% sure on why, because the weapons I had are very good, obviously, but not perfect. And like stuff like that happened, where I
so
just
annoying. I wasn't even looking.
I'm very unlucky that my 1000 strikes, since I didn't use target lock, went onto the Memory Eater, and Amducias instantly feared me, and then, yeah. I was luckily able to kill him before his healing got in,
Yes.
which was good. So this boss rush goes very well, continues to go quite well from here on. The dangerous fights here are the fights with 2 enemies at the same time, except for the first one. Marius and Jean are very weak, they don't really matter. But these fights are much harder, and therefore I summoned my creature to pull focus of one of them, which worked. Razakel didn't focus me. Also, none of them used fear already, which helps a lot. Both of them can use it, so the chance that you will get feared is quite high, and the Memory Eater Guardians tend to heal them to full life while you are feared, and that's really annoying. That's why the creature is super important in this fight. Now we have Lord John and Lady Kara again. I don't even know, like, they are such redundant bosses. Even in, like, first time you fight them, they are incredibly weak, but here they suddenly are completely on steroids, and this is the hardest battle in this entire boss rush. As you can see, I almost died. I had to use potions. My life drain wasn't enough. And now we come to the final enemy, which is Baal. And he is weaker than he was 2 minutes ago. Or, like 6-7 minutes ago. You will see, like, his tankiness has decreased by a lot. We have the same build we had before. But he now summons metal skeleton summoners. So he summons metal skeletons that in turn summon skeletons. But they are super useless and don't really matter to us. And then you can see we just basically instantly kill him after being feared once. And yeah, we grab as much loot as we can on the way and then make our way to the final fight. And as you can see, our time is down by -2 minutes already. So I just basically gained 1 minute 50 because I had such a good boss rush, which is very hard to do. You need a good build and you need a lot of luck. Like, it's very rare that none of the enemies kill you or fear you or stagger you, or you don't have to run and heal and stuff. Like, also you see I put 2 points into healing and never use it in this run at any time, because it takes time to heal and you have to run away. It's just basically an emergency strategy if you don't have potions, or the potion healing is just not enough. So yeah, we make our way into the final battle. So this is the memory of Igerna. We have this small, nice entry cutscene with the divine Zandalor, Igerna, and a lot of soldiers. Yeah. Now we teleport ourselves in there. He's like, "Oh yeah, what the fuck are you doing?"
So now
we are like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I'm a Dragon Knight, and you cannot kill Igerna and Zandalor." And the divine are like, "Yeah, what the fuck? No, like we will kill her." Yeah, and yeah, look at me frantically putting points and not knowing where to put them. Yeah, not good inventory management at all. Should have put more points into regenerate. Shouldn't have put a point into healing probably. Potion efficiency is probably worth it. At least 1 point. 10% more potion healing is good. And then also my strategies here are definitely not perfect. Today I use some smarter strategies. You want to focus the healer, summoner, and mage first. Then focus on the rangers or whatever runs in front of your sword. Or mallet.
Oh no.
Yeah, but I didn't do this here. I lost some time already by soldiers getting healed. Yeah, and you can see I'm sweating. This is very difficult. I'm almost running out of potions. The enemies are not dead yet. So I now have to run in to get the healer as quickly as possible to try to survive. And now we use healing and our rejuvenation potions and the last small health potion we have left to kind of get some survivability. And luckily the mage runs towards us, so we were able to kill him. And we have some chance that sometime our curse will run out and we will then actually be able to heal much more as well. Since we have a lot of points into life drain, we can actually fight the divine quite easily. and get a pretty nice level up here.
Fuck is that guy?
The summoner's still alive, but actually stuck in the floor, so that's also quite lucky. And then we only have Sandala left, and he is incredibly easy to kill, as you can see here. And then you saw me just quick save there once.
Okay.
The reason I did this is because the game likes to get stuck in the transition, which takes 5 minutes. It is incredibly annoying. I will leave it in here and we'll commentate a bit for you to experience it, I guess. But basically the story goes, we now get told, hey, so yeah, you successfully stopped Igana's execution. That's nice and all, but you ended up here in this crystal where you can't move with me, Lucian, the Divine, Damien's father, who's also stuck here. He didn't die, he's stuck here. Why is he stuck here? Since we saved Igana, that didn't mean Damien would die or be weaker. No, it meant that Damien would be unstoppable, which really, really sucks for us. So yeah, we have this very nice dialogue between the Divine and me. Yeah, we'll basically talk about how we fucked up, or how I fucked up. But he was stuck here before anyway, so kind of not my fault, not my problem. But this cutscene is unskippable, and it goes on for around 5 minutes overall. And the game likes to crash at the transition towards the new game. If you want to run this game, I have written down a small guide of instructions on how to clear certain areas. If you want to read that, just a quick lookup table. I like to do that when I come back to the game, to just look at a file to just refresh my memory a bit. I will link that as well, but keep in mind I streamed this using OBS, and the problem with OBS and Divinity 2 seems to be, I don't know if this is only a problem for me, but I experienced this on multiple Windows machines running Windows 10. If you use a game capture to capture Divinity 2, this transition will never continue through. It will always crash 100% of the time, no matter if the game captures actually being seen. So you can't, just don't have it. If you have it as one of the input sources, no matter if it's shown or not, if it's locked or not, this will not work. And I've tried some of the settings, but so far none of them seem to help. The only thing that is able to help is if you do a screen capture. So you record your entire screen on which you have Divinity 2 playing. But this uses a lot more hardware resources. And yeah, my computer, especially my graphics card, is not very good. And therefore I cannot record and stream at the same time, because I would then have to use my NVIDIA codec to either record or stream, either one, and the other one to record or stream, whatever the other one was. But that actually leads to an increase in frames for me, since my graphics card is not able to handle the streaming and playing the game at the same time. So therefore I'm using a screen capture here and only streaming it to Twitch. My Twitch channel is also linked somewhere below if you want to follow. I probably 2 or 3 times a year get really bored and start speedrunning this game again, which will then be live streamed on my Twitch channel.
Now it's continued.
Okay. The game crashed for reasons that I just mentioned a second ago. I remember that at this run I had the game set up as screen capture, as a game capture, but not shown. I tested that in this run if that would crash, and it actually crashed. So I removed that in the stream, leaving the stream online. You can see that in the VOD. I will cut it out for this commentary. Nobody wants to watch 5 minutes of the same cutscene again. It's fucking annoying. But now it works. So we teleport to Alaroth. We end up here. same build as we had before, everything's the same character, whatever. But now we are freed, and the ghost mage guy that freed us, Barrelin, yeah, he seems to be a nice guy. He freed us, but he didn't free the Divine. That's also quite weird. I don't know what his exact reasoning for that was. The Divine is sort of obviously like a man who became a god, so why didn't he free him? But whatever, he freed us, fair enough. Yeah, and now he wants us to help him get released from his prison, which is underneath Aroth. Actually, thinking about it, the entire plot doesn't make too much sense, I guess, because it ends in us not freeing him in general. But I guess it's important experience for us to get stronger. So yeah, we make our way down here, which what's really nice on this add-on, or not nice, but also interesting is probably a good word. There are a lot of riddles here, especially in the main quest, and clues you have to find to solve these riddles. But you can solve these riddles either by guessing or by just having played it before and just remembering all the solutions. So for this part, it's 168. You have to enter in that
Can't press keys.
thing. And I don't know why I messed it up twice, but whatever, I did. It's 168. You go in here, you need this. You need to be here to grab the elven alphabet to talk to the tree that's blocking the way to go further into the infected parts of Aroth. Ursula, completely useless character for us in this playthrough, as well as the Thaddeus guy, whatever his name is. He also doesn't have any information for us, which we need. We get 3 quest rewards for the quests we should have finished to even reach this place, but obviously we didn't, just by lifting the spell here. These quests count as finished. We take the gold, which is needed, because we didn't have to now buy some better equipment to run through this game much quicker. As you can see, our time is at 1:26, and this run will only last another 35 minutes. So this part goes by pretty quickly, which is in part due to me having a lot of damage, which we will acquire at this Blacksmith here. So we might Regina, quick save before, and then we try to find some nice +100 weapons. Here we're just looking at the enchantments of the single-handed weapons. She doesn't have anything that's very good to us, so we just reset. It's important when you try to reset that you don't look at her, because as soon as you look at a vendor, their item set will generate, and then you can't reset with that save anymore. So look slightly left to them, not look at them in general at all, and then just reset like I do here, and then scan all the single-handed weapons until you find something that you like. And ideally you find 2 things that you like. Yeah, obviously a large time save would be to have better luck here, but really this is only down to luck. We find 2 +70 magic damage, which probably a year before I did this run I would have taken. But I figured out that in the old strategies I didn't use Battle Rage, and Battle Rage scales your physical damage, so the magic damage enchantments are actually not affected by it, and therefore your damage is much lower if you have magic damage enchantments, so you want only physical damage. Also, we currently have equipped, I think, a +60 mallet, or at least, or +65 blood echelon sword. So anything we pick up here should at least be better than that. As you can see, we are not having great luck here at all. In one of my older runs, the previous world record before this run, I think I got here and first try got a +100 weapon, which by that time wasn't even standard practice for the run to even reset for, which is in due part to the old runs, the old Bypathian stuff from 8 years ago by now probably. They were published on Speed Demo's archive, and Speed Demo's archive doesn't allow resetting, which is very annoying for this game, because it also means that your run has to be deathless to be a valid record, because there's no respawning, and therefore you have to reload an older save if you die. Therefore these runs are now published on speedrun.com, which allows us to just do this. But obviously with this comes the time loss, and as you could see there's a +100. This is huge. This will make us win the game. And I knew that my leggings were absolute trash. I don't know why I'm taking so long here, but I'm just picking stuff with good enchantments. My leggings and gauntlets were very bad, so I bought some upgrades. This will help me to sustain much easier. And then I'm just buying a whole bunch of potions, and they are just there for me to be able to face tank through anything. And now that we basically have our equipment, we are now set for the end of the game, except for some skill points. So we continue the path. There's this interaction with one black ring guy. We let him go, otherwise if you tell him like no, he's evil, then he will just kill the guards and still run away, which is stupid, but whatever. The next split, as you can see on the left, is called Trigon, and that's what also we need the Elven alphabet for. It's a magical tree that speaks Elvish, I think. Yeah, probably makes sense. Elven alphabet, Elvish, and nobody can understand them. Even I can't. That's why I need the Elven alphabet. And then he tells me that he will not let anyone pass except for me. And then we go past him to the further parts, and then eventually to finish the main quest. Jump down here because it's quick and looks cool. Cork to Casca, I think it's named. Yep. Here's a nice cutscene. The one guy runs in, charge without weapons. I don't know, he's stupid. None of them have weapons. I don't even get why. Also the corpses also don't have weapons. I don't know if they intended to fight the enemies with their bare fists, but we talk to the tree. We have this little interaction with Berlin. He tells us like, you didn't understand the word, you fucking idiot. You should find an alphabet. Joke's on him, we already have it. We also look sick and have insane damage. So yeah, it's also good if we can't upgrade Blood Echelon Sword to keep the Cuirass, because it increases the damage on the Blood Echelon Sword. You can also mind read the tree to give you a skill point, which I probably should have done, but I must have forgotten at this point. It's not really important, as you will see later. Our damage is by far enough, and by the final fight we have also more than enough skill points anyway. You always have to keep in mind that skills are very useful, but the time it takes for you to place the skills, activate the skills, and then use it has to be in proportion to the time that it actually saves. So sometimes you saw me in this run as well to keep skill points for a really long time, and it's just because I don't need to put them in to anything to have a similarly fast run. Nice. So we make generous use of our dash cancelling, which is really nice, and then find our way down in this well, where this little troll guy skunk comes in, and as you could see there, he actually got stuck on the skeletons. The problem with that is you can actually reach the top of the stairs before he reaches them, and if that is the case, you walk past the store, he will get stuck and you're soft locked. That's why I had to kill the fire skeleton, to let him walk past me, so he reaches the top of the stairs before I can, and therefore not softlock the game. That's obviously lost me a second, but yeah. There's no point in talking about small seconds. If you run this game, you will see also at what time, like inventory management and all of that stuff. Obviously not perfect. We find Abbott locked into the small hole there. A monk. He has to commit suicide. The only way to save him is actually if you mind read Skunk every time you have an interaction, and then recite the spell to save Abbott, which is possible. Completely unnecessary for the speedrun, obviously, and loses a lot of time, but a nice fun fact, I guess. Now we reached the engineer arena. Skunk was working for the engineer. The engineer is the responsible for spawning the undead in the crow's nest part of Adaroth, and locks us away from entering the academy, which we know the vault where Barian lies, which is our quest to free him, obviously, is located. So we want to go there. He blocks our path. We have no ill intent towards him, right? But he just forces us to do this. He also holds one of the 5 clue items. We need to solve the final riddle, the final puzzle to enter Berlin's vault. But this is another thing that's in Flames of Vengeance, that you don't have to find all the clues to answer to solve the puzzle. You can just solve the puzzle if you played this game before, and therefore skip all the clues because they actually take forever. An interesting category, I guess, for this game would be a sort of 100%, where you try to collect all the collectibles and finish all the quests. But I really don't want to define what means 100%, because not all quests are able to be completed. Some quests are exclusive, some quest lines you can only do if you don't do a certain quest line. And then there are quite a few collectible items in this game that are very hard to find, but also like armor sets from the early game. I don't know if they really count, I guess. So somebody would have to define that. Maybe if I get bored or we have another COVID quarantine again, I might take a look at that. But yeah, to focus back on this run, the engineer, after we pulled all the levers, he is now ready to be harmed. He's out of his small little no fight zone, and as you can see, we put points into Battle Rage to just do insane damage to him, and he basically doesn't stand a chance, although he's double the level of us, basically. But this just shows how good enchantments are. Oh my god, and I lost so much time here because I didn't open the chest. This is another point, like, at this time this was one of my probably first handful of runs, because we need this dialogue to trigger, and it only triggers once we grabbed the engineer's sword with the clue on it, and then
you don't have to open this.
Now we can enter the Academy of Adaroth, but not before being teleported to the
plane of Hypnotica fight.
Weird dimensional plane to then fight Balagar's spawned demons, which is incredibly easy as well. So no worries there. Probably shouldn't have taken the XP, but I'm not 100% sure on how good my jewelry is, but the fact that I skipped most of it probably means that it's decent. I know that I have some lifesteal on them, which makes it just instantly pretty decent. You always want on your necklace, arm, wrist thingy, and what's the other one? I think both of them. Yeah, you want plus skills, so plus any skill that's useful. 1,000 strikes, battle rage, life drain, mana leech, anything that can be useful to you makes it insanely good, and saves you a bunch of time during the run in general.
One important thing.
So we made quick work of Balagar's spawned foes. Easy enough.
We do this, and
And you see we have a bunch of skill books, a bunch of potions, and yeah, I put Battle Rage on 6 because I like to have 4 and 5 for healing spells. I doubt that we're gonna see our healing being used a lot from now on, because we should be able to just face tank everything, because we have such high damage that we will just lifesteal our way up. So yeah, we pull this lever, we get zombie, not Jake, he's called Theophilus. Theophilus instantly always uses curse on us. We use Battle Rage, he doesn't deal any damage to us. He's a mage basically and very weak. Also the other zombies around are also doing magic damage, and that's much easier to calculate than physical damage. The burst is much less. I figured that I probably should use my skill points to just increase Battle Rage and Fatality and dual wielding, which I obviously should have done before this fight, but yeah. That's still fine. If you look at any runs from like 5 to 10 years ago, they didn't use Battle Rage, and this fight takes minutes because he's incredibly tanky and uses curse on you. So yeah, we grab the Helmet of Secrets, which is incredibly useful and also very mandatory to solve some riddles that are in this Academy of Araroth. So we make our way up using dash attack when we can, and can save time with it. As you can see, our regenerate skill is doing wonders for us, keeping us up in health. We always want to be lucky and not get stunned or staggered here. That's the biggest time loss that can happen here, especially while doing the jump and run here. If you get knocked off, you have to pull the lever again, and that just loses a lot of time. It's very annoying. Also, you can get stuck on the bathtub thingy if you jump into it. It's really annoying. Can happen if you get knocked into it, which then you have to dash your way out of. It's annoying. Yeah, we just make our way through here, keeping the Helmet of Secrets on our head. Yeah, luckily our regeneration is doing us wonders. Also, we have 31 potions left after we just put one in, so we will not have a problem with surviving. We get knocked back a couple of times, but that's fine. Now here we have to do it in the correct order, not like I did, but it's 1, 2, and then the third one is the hidden one. The fourth one, obviously is the one we can see. You have to put on the Helmet of Secrets, otherwise you can't trigger the glowing one. You will not see it even. And this allows us to pick up a second orb. The first orb we obviously picked up during the jump and run in the first room. Yeah, these orbs are directly linked to the 5 clues of the main quest, which of which we have 1. And then here we pull 1, 2, 3. So yeah, 1 and 1. We only have to pull the second 2, I guess. Don't know why I pulled the first one. Shouldn't have done that. It's unnecessary. This actually removes the Helmet of Secrets off our heads, but doesn't replace it with anything, which is weird. None of the other quests in this area do that. Also probably like an oversight. Nobody notices that. And then we get polymorphed, and I'm afraid of dying since I don't have the helmet on. I didn't go into my inventory to number 1 select the helmet and also drink another potion. We still have 30 left, so there's no problem there. We walk up here. You can actually fall down when you get staggered or dashed at, but luckily it didn't happen. And then we make our way down here, get polymorphed again. Very, very unlucky that happened as often as it did. But yeah, now we come to the last orb after we picked up the first 4 of them. Yeah, we put our helmet on and then put another helmet to see the other floating things, so you can only see half of them with the Helmet of Secrets. The other one you only see without the Helmet of Secrets. So you always have to go to your inventory and switch. So far I don't think there's a faster way to do this. And then you drop down, and then with the clues you will be able to solve the riddle. So you just place the orbs on the correct locations. Yeah, if you can just look it up in the internet or play the game correctly and find the clues, and they will tell you where to put what. Yeah, and then we can enter this cool looking vault to go to Berlin, but not before seeing two other characters we know from previous. So we go down here, we see a calcified, I guess is the word, road, and we also see our old friend Belegar, who's there with some more fresh rhymes and is trying to stop us. If you play the main quest, after every clue you pick up, you get teleported to one of these dimensional planes, where we got teleported to when reaching the Academy of Alaroth. And he more and more tells you to be like, oh yeah, Berlin is like evil, you shouldn't free him, but I will try to stop you. I will try to kill you, but only summon enemies. I don't know what his entire deal there is, but now he actually fights me, I guess, a bit more seriously, but still it's not him that's fighting. I don't know what the problem with characters in this game is. They all talk big, but none of them actually fight you. They actually deal quite a large amount of damage, and you can always see there's always one kind of burning one, and I think you have to kill 5 of the burning ones, and they can be either a priest or a soldier. The soldiers are really tanky, so you ideally want the priest to become burning.
That's the fastest.
Whenever you kill one of them, he summons new ones. Yeah, basically just kill whatever is the marked thing, and then just easy going. You continue through here, quite easy. They can stun you, they can stagger you, but generally it's very easy to just make your way past, and then go down here on the right, and you basically finish the main game. And the last 15 minutes of the game is just very fun, I guess you could say. So you go here, Belegar is like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm still like there, and then I spam 2, because on the last option he asks you, do you want to free Berlin or not? Then you're like, nah, I don't want to free him, you have convinced me. And then he's like, oh yeah, fair enough, okay, cool. So yeah, after that we get teleported to the Ministry. Zanelor, he's holding up the shield that's protecting Alaroth from Damien. And I pressed escape to skip the cutscene, but I pressed it one too many times, so I skipped. I opened the menu, and we find ourselves in the escort mission. And this is probably one of the worst auto-scroller escort missions that ever made its way into a commercial video game. So this quest is, you have this little zeppelin on the left, you can see with an HP bar and stuff, and you have to escort him until the end of this path. The path is marked with these like flying arrows, you can see, but it's covered with ballista towers and nest towers and lightning towers and whatever. But luckily, because you are such a nice dragon and you didn't free Berlin, Belegar was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna give you very strong dragon skills. Wow, look at you. Your fireball is level 15, your fire breath is maxed. You're super incredibly strong, right? You have never fought these ballista before, right? So you wouldn't be able to defeat them otherwise, right? Like, I'm just gonna make this easy for you, he basically says. And this leads to you being the weakest dragon you have ever been in the game. Like, okay, maybe the ballista are much stronger than they were before, but I don't see a reason why they would. Like, why would they look the same? They act the same. The nest towers are the same. Why would the ballista be different? So I assume they are the same, but you just deal no damage to them because you're constantly out of mana. So you can see it's always at 0. That isn't the case when you normally fight as a dragon. You would see that when you play casual. Also, he gives you full dragon armor, which is also stupid because in the Ego Draconis part, it's an objective to find the different armor sets and then specify, specialize yourself into certain aspects of the armor sets. But here, you just get put into the situation with this armor set on, and that's just it. You get one really good spell that's on 2. It basically one-shot anything and kills everything in a pretty large radius around it. But it costs like 350 mana or 400 mana. And your mana regeneration is quite shit. And the cooldown is pretty long. So, yeah, this quest basically boils down to you being out of mana constantly, spamming Fire Breath, killing Ballista left and right, and just flying ahead of the Zeppelin as much as you can to kill anything that's in your way. And yeah, it's incredibly boring. I'm yawning just even looking at this. And there's really also not much to do wrong here. Like, you can die, but you have to be like kind of very, very careless to die. Like, if you just fly around all the ballista, they will not hit you. And the enemies, the flying enemies, are super useless as well. So yeah, there's really no challenge here, and there's no way to speed it up. You cannot kill everything anyway, so like the quest doesn't even end in you successfully escorting it. No matter what you do, you cannot lead them to the end. No, even if they're full life at the end, they will be like, oh, we are too heavily damaged, we will never make it back. We have to crash our Zeppelin into the tower to kind of as a last effort. Yeah, they do that. No matter how well you do your escort quest, so no matter how fast you are or whatever, there's actually something we figured out by comparing multiple runs that you actually save some seconds in some instances, but we haven't been able to pinpoint what it boiled down to. The assumption currently is that if you kill a certain amount of ballista and stuff, and you reach a certain point of the level and kill some things there, that will trigger the cutscene to start the Zeppelin last effort attack a bit sooner. But so far this has been only seen, like only one run has been compared, and it was Parfy's old run and my then world record before this. And my execution in general was just a bit better. This could also obviously boil down to some sort of how the game runs on certain computers, because if he received this 8 years ago, his computer specs were probably a bit worse. This could also boil down to the FPS the game is locked at and whatever, right? So nobody has done any research in that. The only thing we know is that in my run it was faster, and so far in the runs I have seen afterwards it was all similar speed. So my strat has stayed the same, just to do this, fly past and spam fire breath and kill everything that flies in front of you. Yeah, as you can see, there's also no strategy since you're always out of mana. You don't have any room for strategy since you cannot do any spells. Yeah. The good thing about this is though you level up a lot during this fight, which makes the last battle a lot easier later on. Yeah, but I guess you're probably as bored as I am on this fight, but yeah, I hope you still enjoyed this video so far, and if you're interested in running this game, feel free to send me some messages about it. If you have any questions about the versions of the game, some more in-depth questions about some sort of strategies, or some new strategies you figured out. Always happy to help anyone trying to pick up this game, and probably if you stayed this long, like probably some bit invested. So yeah, props to you for watching this for almost 2 hours. I will also soon upload a speedrun version of the Divinity 2 Developers Cut version that's on Steam, because it's much easier to access than the Dragon Knight Saga version. I can only play this version because I have a physical DVD of it, which I use to run. There are some patches for it where you can actually use remove the auto. Like normally you have to input your CD to run this game, but Larian actually released a patch to remove this, since obviously after a couple of years discs stopped working and you wouldn't be able to play the game otherwise. But all the links I could find on the internet about that file are broken, because that game came out 12 years ago. And therefore I couldn't find anything of that online anymore. So I'm just playing the version with my DVD. I made a copy of it to like be safe, but the developer's cut version is much easier accessible. You can buy it on Steam on sale. It's like €2. But the strategies, especially in the early game, differ from the ones I used here. And that is because they nerfed the enchantments for the developer's cut version, because they noticed it was a bit too easy. That just means in the first village you cannot get a +40 weapon, you can only get +12. And because you can only get +12, you cannot face tank and one-shot everything, so you kind of have to find out some new strategies. But so far, the routing I've done in the last few days, I think I managed to find some really nice strategies that make it quite consistent and don't lose too much time compared to this version. But yeah, you can look forward to seeing that soon. I might do another full commentary there, or
so this lightning tower will get
might upload some sort of cut video of it, where I then go into detail on the differences between the two versions. But that really depends on how much time I find to do this. I'm quite busy at the moment during my studies. The only reason I was able to run this game and come back here is because I've been stuck at home for the last week, since I got the flu quite badly, and especially for a long time, which led to me unfortunately not enjoying my social life, but being stuck in my room and kind of taking care of myself to hopefully get better soon. But in my boredom and my paracetamol fueled energy rush, I was like, okay, let's speedrun this game again. And then I was like, let's run the developer's cut version and route this if I have time anyway. And that's also what led to me recording this video, because I was like, people might want to see this, and I hope my commentary was better than I did in the last one. But you can be the judge of that. So my 5-minute run, my 5-minute rant, or 10-minute rant even. Yeah, it's 10 minutes. Yeah, it's actually 10 minutes. It started at 1:47 and we have 1:58, so we are reaching the end. So what I'm doing now is I'm not killing the ballista and stuff anymore. I'm waiting for my cooldowns, and then I'm killing the flying enemies to get some more experience points. The ballista gives 1,000 and these flying things give you 4,000. So I'm spamming my fireball on them, killing some ballista. I just really need only one more level up.
Now we're basically finished.
And then I will be all good for the final fight. As you can see, the Zeppelin has caught up to me. these islands are still filled with so many ballista. Like, if he just gave me like 5 more minutes, easily I would clear all of it, but whatever. That's not the case. Okay, I'm actually not killing all the flying enemies. That's what I do in my newer strats. There's no point in killing all the ballista. Like, the Zeppelin will fail anyway, and no matter if you kill more or less ballista. Like, he cannot die before he reaches. Like, you can fail this quest if he gets killed, if the Zeppelin gets killed at some point before you.
We are too heavy damage, we can't make it.
Before the cutscene triggers, but
Thank you.
to fuck up that badly is quite difficult. So yeah, I almost reached my last level up for this run. Don't even know what level I am currently, but probably like around 30-ish, 31, maybe 32. Yeah. One more thing and I should be fine. Level up. Fireball, fire breath, and not yet. One more.
Yep.
Fireball, and there it is. Now, yeah. I can just wait. And the cutscene starts. That's so nice. Oh my god. And Igerna. She was in the fortress. Damien wasn't there. Why would he? Why? Like a stupid guy. Now we can fight Igerna, who's level 45. So you can see me probably. No, I don't even put in my skill points. Probably do that in a second. That would be stupid not to. In this fight, I know that I have insane damage. And the demon doesn't do anything for her. So therefore I can just focus her. The pattern she does is quite good for us, but you just really don't want her to use the dash attack, stagger you, and double spin, because that can kind of kill you instantly. So yeah, I got lucky that she didn't do that. So here I'm just hitting her, she's healing. I use my 1000 strikes, but honestly I should go into my inventory, put another few points into 1000 strikes, put another few points into battle rage on fatality, and then just kill her. Oh, there we go. And I didn't even put puts into 1000 strikes. 1000 strikes actually really helps in this fight. And then here, ideally, that is also a misplay. You want to dash cancel, because she will then dash away and run. And
201.59.
So that's the run. It's 201.59 on the splits, but it's actually 201.58 on the speedrun.com verified time. Thank you for watching.
1 more minute less.
I hope you enjoyed this video, even if you didn't stick through the end. Fair enough. Still, 2 hours and 1 minute. I cannot expect anyone to really watch this, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Leave a like if you liked it. Comment something. Join my Discord, which is really not very active, but maybe you can make it active. Whatever. And have a good day, have a good week, have a good life, and hopefully see you in one of my next videos.
Thank you for watching.